review international and bilateral issues between Cameroon and France at an audience with the French diplomat at the Unity Palace. The COVID-19 vaccine scare slows down government's target of reaching 800,000 people in the first semester of the campaign, having succeeded to inoculate just less than 63,000 thus far. Netherlands' Sybens Welling wins the 6th lap of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon run today as Cameroon takes over the yellow jersey from Frenchman Alexandre Léonaire. Those are our lead stories. Hello and thanks for joining us. I am Ben Menopufon and this is the 7:30 News.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Welcome once again. The head of the French diplomatic mission to Cameroon, Christophe Guilou, was today at the Unity Palace for an audience with the President of the Republic. Discussions between Ambassador Guilou and President Paul Biya hinged on a wide range of national, international, and bilateral issues. Chief Unity Palace correspondent Ashunyenti comes back on the main thrust of the Unity Palace tete-a-tete.
It is pretty over 3.5 months ago since French Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Christophe Guilou was last seen at the Unity Palace. From then to now, a lot has happened, both internationally and bilaterally, but his status has not waned. He is received this June 3rd in the full clout of dignity and deference by the stand-in protocol official Simplice Atanga and then the Minister, Director of the Civil Cabinet Samuel Mvondo Ayolo, before being carefully led into the presence of Cameroon's sovereign, Paul Biya.
Son Excellence, Monsieur Christophe Guilou, Ambassadeur de France au Cameroun.
Monsieur le Président.
As usual, the talk is a long haul, 1 hour and 30 minutes, and once more, the diplomatic engineer, Paul Biya, and his guest have a full basket.
We raise a number of topics. Among them, the international situation, and I briefed the President about the conclusion of the recent summit about financing African economies that was held a few days ago in Paris, and the country was represented by the Minister of Finance. We had also had an exchange of views about the regional situation. And finally, we discuss about the situation in Cameroon and the development of bilateral relations between our two countries.
It is a visibly satisfied Guilou who takes leave of the Unity Palace, looking ahead with optimism how things play out as Cameroon continues to be the epicenter of world and regional diplomacy.
Away from diplomacy, let's talk health now. 6 weeks after the mass immunization campaign against COVID-19 took off in Cameroon, health officials say they are far from reaching the target of vaccinating 800,000 people in the first phase of the exercise. So far, only 63,000 people have turned out for the jabs in spite of their availability in vaccination centers across the country. A performance ratio that is being blamed on the fence-sitting and hesitant attitude being demonstrated against the vaccine by Cameroonians. In this mid-term assessment, Beatrice Losamba looks at the reason for the mitigated response to the ongoing campaign.
Cameroon rolled out 3 vaccines, Sinopharm, AstraZeneca and Sputnik, when it launched its mass immunization campaign against COVID-19 last April. 6 weeks into this first phase, which targets 800,000 people, not even a quarter of this number has turned out for the shots. 63,000 fully vaccinated by the official statistics from the expanded program on immunization. This urges authorities to seek answers to the low turnout despite expanding vaccine eligibility to everyone above 18.
People are still very unsure about the safety of the vaccine, despite growing reports about the safety as it's being implemented in several different countries and even here in Cameroon.
Many Cameroonians are sitting on the fence, scared of the long-term side effects, and would rather not be the first. They want to take the cue from their peers.
Haphazard logistics, delivery processes, people asking questions. If I get the first dose, when am I going to get the second dose?
People have different drivers for resisting COVID vaccines, and this is slowing down herd community that the government of Cameroon aims for. There might be need to reach out with messages about how safe the vaccines are, pointing out that they are administered to large numbers of people overseas already.
The dilly-dally attitude of people notwithstanding, the WHO maintains that vaccination remains the one sure way of halting the spread of the coronavirus. Constantine Baum sought to know from experts why the campaign is limping and what it will take to have many more people come on board. He compared their prescriptions in the following report.
Some Cameroonians have already taken their first and second doses of the COVID-19 vaccines. Others who hesitated have had a change of mind and have accepted the vaccines. But there is still a lot of hesitation and doubt on the vaccine. Communication experts believe the present conversation strategy on the vaccines has failed to build confidence.
There is a wrong appreciation of what to do about vaccination. We have the impression that the government just works to make people know that they work, which is wrong. The second position is propaganda.
More has to be done to proactively address and mitigate the spread and harm of misinformation.
We have past events who had made people traumatized. They neglect the very resistant campaign in social media.
The communication strategy at the beginning was okay. We saw the Prime Minister and other key government officials. At the moment, we feel as if we are still at the beginning of the process, which is wrong. Communication is a process, and many Cameroonians have to understand that other Cameroonians are already queuing in for the vaccine. We need to approach the campaign with people whom the population hold in high esteem.
All major towns and cities in Cameroon host billboards. These boards and banners could as well be used to raise awareness and promote confidence among the population. A recommendation.
Security, business and diplomacy dominated discussions today as Cameroon and the European Union engaged in their routine structured political dialogue. After x-raying Cameroon's socio-economic recovery plan and priority areas in relation to the Team Europe package, as well as the evolution of the security situation in certain regions of the country, the discussions wound up on how to deepen the dialogue on issues of common concern. Charles Ebune reports.
One by one, diplomats from the European Union member states in Cameroon troop in the Ministry of External Relations for the political structured dialogue between Cameroon and the 27 member state organization. And it is the first political structured dialogue between Cameroon and the European Union with Philippe Van Damme as European Union ambassador to Cameroon.
The presentation of the strategic plan 2021-2024 of the European Union and its member states on human rights and democracy, including civil society and the use of public space.
Amongst the attendees are government officials, including the chairman of the Bilingualism Promotion Commission, former Prime Minister Peter Mafanyi Musonge.
Regarding the Northwest region and the Southwest regions, I would also like to express our concern about the now increasingly protracted nature of the crisis and the drift of the conflict towards a dynamic of radicalization and the development of a war economy.
The quality of the attendees testified the discourse focused on security, business, and diplomatic topics.
The Cameroon National Social Insurance Fund and the United Citizen Councils of Cameroon have signed a convention rescheduling the social debt of some 192 councils in the country to the National Social Insurance Fund. The deal that was reached yesterday in Yaoundé is an implementation of a presidential measure to bail the councils out of difficulties resulting from the socio-political crisis in parts of Cameroon and the COVID-19 pandemic. Ebenezer Kanga now weighs the impact the move will have on the finances of the councils concerned.
The Northwest and Southwest regions were declared economic disaster zones in 2019 as a result of the socio-political crisis in the regions. To bail the local collectivities out of the situation, the head of state has prescribed measures to alleviate the burden.
The purpose of this convention is to settle up a sort of partnership between CNPS and CVUC so that they could sensitize all the territorial collectivities.
Concretely, the social debt of the councils to the National Social Insurance Fund, amounting to more than 7 billion CFA francs, will be rescheduled for a period of over 10 years.
I would like to express our gratitude for the head of state. He gives us full support for the process of decentralization.
To the President of the United Cities and Councils of Cameroon, the convention is a big relief that will enable the local collectivities to carry on their development objectives with serenity.
Cameroon's Ministry of Public Works now has a strategy document for earth road maintenance in the country. The document was debated and adopted in Yaoundé through a video conference moderated by Minister Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi. The strategy document outlines a number of innovative products for the stabilization of earth roads while rendering them cost-effective. We have details with Joyce Kimbi-Fowaju.
13 homologated innovative products, amongst which are 8 soil stabilization products for earth road maintenance in Cameroon, are included in the strategy at the Ministry of Public Works to increase the lifespan of earth roads and optimize its maintenance cost.
Stabilization is a product that ameliorates the quality of the soil. It is mixed with local material and improves its soil type and protects infiltration of water.
The efficiency of these innovative products alongside local material depends on the lethal stabilization or the chemical treatment of soils with the help of these 8 homologated stabilization products for clay, sandy and laterite soils in the absence of rocks and pozzolan. According to the Minister of Public Works, particular attention should be given to water-lifted zones by the installation of a draining layer made up of materials insensitive to water or by raising the red line of the road.
Our Thursday package from the regions takes us to the north, where contraband and other fake goods are flooding the public space and markets. The scale of the illicit trade has climbed to such proportions that it is costing the region records in losses in foreign exchange earnings. Wilson Mengole has been observing the phenomenon and reports that smuggling is fast becoming a new normal in the north of Cameroon.
Markets in the North Regional Capital, Garoua, are often flooded with goods of doubtful quality coming from countries which share long and porous borders with the North. A vexing situation common during the dry season, which trade officials of the region, as well as the North Customs sector, through special operations, are bent on dismantling.
The phenomenon of contraband is very high in this area. The North Customs sector, this area, if you add the area of Badake there, you will see that about 90% of goods that enter the North Customs sector comes from this area. If you take Toboro, there is Chad.
Through joint operations, vehicles, fuel, and other valuable items are impounded by the officials who often face attacks from the smugglers.
We have materials, wrappers, spare parts of vehicles, goods that entered contraband here, and those are goods that I can call them luxurious goods because the taxation rate is high, and those are goods that make the principal revenue in our office.
The North Customs sector is determined to stamp its authority to strengthen the fight against fraud.
The illicit trade climbs in proportion, the North regional authorities have gone on the offensive, editing and implementing measures to put a halt to this sapping economic crime. That's how border controls and surveillance, as well as seizure and destruction of goods, have been stepped up by the Customs Department and the Defense and Security Forces to stop the hemorrhage, as Tony Nanyongo reports from CRTV North.
The North Customs sector regularly reinforces surveillance and other techniques to track down smugglers and ensure that goods considered dangerous to health do not flood the markets. These control operations, especially at the borders, are also carried out by defense and security forces who all collaborate to check such criminal activities.
There are contraband subroutes which these traffickers use to evade normal control. So our elements do everything to pist these traffickers on these various illegal routes.
Considering the difficult nature of the fight against illicit trade and contraband, several other public departments are involved, with teams working in the markets as well.
What we do as usual is to seize them, and we have a commission, and they decide either to destroy them or to recycle them.
The overall objective is to protect the economy of the region as well as the health of the population.
And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon radio television, the CRTV, broadcasting from Yaoundé. Prime Minister Joseph Dion-Gute today granted an audience to the Lamido of Ngaoundere, His Majesty Muhammadu Hayatu Issa. The two exchanged on the situation of life in the chief town of the Adamawa and the aspirations of the people in the domains of health care and social development at a time when Cameroon has accelerated her decentralization process. Christian Che-Atam reports from the Star Building.
Mutations undertaken since the major national dialogue and even before have seen traditional rulers directly incorporated in the running of regional councils and included into the state payroll. It is with all these changes in mind and aware of the pivotal role traditional rulers are henceforth called to play that the Lamido of Ngaoundere, His Majesty Muhammadu Hayatu Issa, arrived for the audience with Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dion-Gute. The two exchanged on the general situation of life in the chief town of the Adamawa region and examined the efforts put in place to accompany local development and improve the living conditions of the population. His Majesty Muhammadu Hayatu Issa has been leading the community for some 25 years. The Lamidat on Ngaoundere was created around 1836.
A press briefing held today in Yaoundé in prelude to the launch of activities for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Cardinal Paul Émile Léger National Center for the Rehabilitation of Persons with Disabilities, scheduled for the 14th to the 19th of June this year. The director of the institution, Alexandre Manga, says activities will hold under the theme 50 Years at the Service of Persons with Disabilities. He told media organs in attendance to sensitize the population to the importance of such an event, and he spoke to our reporter Alice Mbe.
CNPH is the 15th year of its existence this year. With the renovation and rehabilitation process of the center going on, its ambition is to bring to the spotlight of the national social scene the set of problems relating to disabilities and the obligation to modernize the technical platform and to renovate its treatment and service infrastructure with the aim of making Cameroon a society that is more just and inclusive.
The Africa Peace Support Trainers Association and her partners has been sharing best practices on research outcomes and community response to mitigate growing trends in violent extremism in Africa. The minister delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of relations with the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayu, who was moderating the video discussions, underlined both the need to counter violent extremism and the putting in place of preventive measures. Details with Kilian Dandifon.
The Permanent Secretariat of the Africa Peace Support Trainers Association, APSTA in Yaoundé, would have hosted heavy delegations from the 19 member states, but COVID-19 pandemic has imposed new gathering rules.
Due to the context, we limited the number of participants, but we covered all the African sub-regional economic communities. There were 25 participants, high-level experts recognized by the international community.
Under the theme, Upsurge of Violent Extremism in Africa, interrogating the deficits, the various participants across the continent will no doubt heed the call of the Cameroon government representative.
Our expectation is that the experts who have come together would discuss and find solutions, make proposals, best practices on how governments can tackle with this topical and existential challenge.
The Director General of the Yaoundé International School for Security Forces, Brigadier General Andre Patrice Tote, watched his Zimbabwean colleague, APSTA Chairperson, Brigadier General James Pumzele Machakei, moderate the video workshop.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
More than 300 people in Crtv have received the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, with the medical team in the town continuing to lure more people to turn out for the exercise. Dr. Ghislain Kembu is the focal point of the exercise at the Crtv District Hospital, and he has been telling our reporter how the campaign is unfolding in the seaside resort town from where Baldwin Sama is on standby. Hello, Baldwin. Come on board.
0. Good evening to you, Ben Menopufong. Welcome to the Crtv District Hospital, where, like most hospitals in Cameroon, we have had ongoing vaccination against the coronavirus. Tonight, with our guest, Dr. Ghislain Kembu, who is the focal point talking about the coronavirus at this district hospital. We shall find out from him where we are so far, 1 month over after we started the start of for the vaccination exercise. Good evening to you, Dr. Ghislain Kembu.
Good evening.
Where are we so far with the ongoing vaccination here in Crtv?
Thank you. The vaccination period launched at Crtv at the 16th of April. At this day, we have vaccinated 24 health workers and 306 other people who receive the first dose of vaccination. From those people, only 16 received the second dose. For the people who are health workers, and 201 other person received the second dose. of vaccine.
Are there some persons who are resisting, who don't want to come and have themselves vaccinated here in Crtv?
Yes, we have many people who don't want, because we have information from social media who give wrong information about the vaccine, and afraid with that we don't want to get the vaccine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghislaine Kembu, for that piece of information. Over 300 persons have so far received the first dose of either the Sinopharm or the AstraZeneca, with less than 16 persons who have received the second dose. The take-home message from here is that they are encouraging more and more inhabitants of Crtv, those who have not yet been vaccinated, to come to the Crtv District Hospital and have themselves vaccinated against the coronavirus. Back to you, Ben Menopofon.
Very much, Baldwin Summer, for those updates there. Reusable pads and antimicrobial items have been offered to 1,000 Cameroonian girls living in the Ogoja refugee camp in Nigeria. The donation by the International Hygiene Coalition and Cameroon's Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, with technical support from the UN Refugee Agency, were handed to the refugees in Nigeria on the occasion of the 2021 edition of World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Gerald Nanjie Yambe completes that story.
Menstrual hygiene and reproductive health among women and girls is crucial, especially within the COVID-19 context. This explains why the International Menstrual Hygiene Coalition, in collaboration with Cameroon's Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, educated these Cameroonian girls living in the Ogoja refugee camp in Nigeria on the need to maintain proper hygiene rules. They equally used the occasion, which marked this year's World Menstrual Hygiene Day, to donate a consignment of reusable pads and antimicrobial items.
We are hoping that with these reusable pads with antimicrobial properties, they can be able to manage their period, to support those who are displaced and underprivileged, to give back to the community.
The pad will help the girls to keep clean and stay healthy. We really pray that more of this will come in the future.
Such actions fall in line with promoting the rights of the displaced persons while empowering them to manage their menstrual period in privacy, safety, and in dignity.
Cameroonian lawmakers and the Ministry of Arts and Culture have opened reflections in Yaoundé on how culture can contribute to the economic and social development of Cameroon during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. The discussions that are taking place between members of the Cultural, Social and Family Affairs Committee of the National Assembly and experts of the Ministry of Arts and Culture seek to build short and long-term vibrant industry that will provide jobs for youths while yielding dividends for the state. Details with Cynthia Saptala.
Bringing culture at the center of development, officials of the Ministry of Arts and Culture outlined to members of parliament the shift intended to transform culture from solely a source of entertainment to a factor for development and creative industries.
Within these 10 years, be able to create jobs in all the sectors of the 24 cultural and artistic poles that have been created.
The ambition is to increase international visitors to 3.5 million and the rehabilitation of 70 cultural sites. To achieve these objectives, members of the Cultural, Social and Family Commission in Parliament were told to rethink cultural policies so as to lobby for a more favorable budget.
For the honorable members of Parliament to concretely understand the reality of the impact of these resilience programs on the economic and social development of the population.
Cultural industries account for the creation of more than 25 million jobs worldwide, and UNESCO describes it as a fundamental component of sustainable development if properly exploited.
And the Gabonese government is seeking Cameroon's assistance in the issuance of bond loans through public offer to help the Gabonese economy face up to post-COVID-19 stress and strain. Gabon is looking up to raising 175 billion CFA francs in 5 years to help develop some key sectors of its economy and settle part of its internal debt. Sally Ebenyanyoki reports on the Gabonese financial offensive.
It was the Minister of the Economy and Recovery, Nicole Mbu, who led the high-level delegation from Gabon to Douala for the 6th bond loan by public savings campaign in the Semak sub-region. Cameroonian structural investors, who are Gabon's historical financial partners, showed their will to assist Gabon raise the sum of 175 billion CFA francs to accelerate post-COVID transformation of its economy between 2021 and 2026. Subscriptions will run from the 21st of May through the 3rd of June 2021 at an annual interest rate of 6% over a maturity of 5 years with a minimum of 50 titles at 10,000 francs each. Funds to be raised through the operation dubbed EOC 6% Net 2021-2026 will go to support and relaunch post-COVID efforts and settle internal debts owed close to 300 small companies on the instructions of the Gabonese President Ali Bongo Ondimba. Despite the sharp contraction in budgetary resources as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of Gabon is committed to reviving and restructuring its national economy through key sectors.
The bond issues will serve in the domains of infrastructure, and focus will be on health, because health services need to be up to date to fight against COVID-19. It will equally handle rail infrastructure. You know that other sectors like mining have to be accompanied by a standard transport sector.
By the end of 3 years, with the Bond Loan by Public Savings Initiative, Gabon hopes to have a stable macroeconomic situation and an economic growth of 4%, notably from the development of non-oil activities, mining, agriculture, fishery, and the transformation industry.
On to sports now. Sybren Welling of Global Cycling Team of the Netherlands has won the 6th lap of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon run today. He covered the 156-kilometer distance from Douala to Crtv in 4 hours, 18 minutes. However, Clovis Kamzong Abosolo of Cameroon is the new yellow jersey winner after the 6th lap, given his overall best time difference. We now have details with Bolden Sama, who is on the race course.
The national anthem of Cameroon sung for the first time as Clovis Kamzong Abosolo of Cameroon wins the yellow jersey. I am very satisfied winning this jersey, as I did all I could to maintain the 2 seconds time difference. Now I am 12 seconds ahead, and I think I will keep the yellow jersey till the last day. The longest lap of the race from Douala to Crtv saw a regrouped pack right out of Douala with 1 or 2 breakaways noticed. Crossing Edea, 10 cyclists imposed a 2 minutes 30 seconds breakaway from the pack. As they continued riding, the same momentum was maintained with Clovis Kamzong Abosolo of Cameroon among. 60 kilometers to Crtv, the pack rode 8 minutes behind the breakaway. As they passed through Fifinda, some 3 cyclists 30 kilometers to Crtv outsprinted the pack. Riding into Crtv, over 10 cyclists outclassed the pack, with Sybren Welling of Netherlands crossing the finish line first in 4 hours, 18 minutes 40 seconds. Clovis Kamzong Abosolo of Cameroon has imposed a 12 seconds difference from his immediate follower to secure the yellow jersey 2 laps to the end of the race, as this Friday the cyclists will observe a day of rest in Crtv.
The 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television. That's where we'll leave it for today and for the week. Thanks for watching. Let's do it all over again on Monday. Bye-bye.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.